Hello and welcome to another video on the West Ham Way YouTube channel with myself, Riley Finch, and Mark Carlaw. Benrahma, Mark, he's an interesting character. I don't think there's been somebody who split our fan base quite like, say, Benrahma. I mean, on his day, he's absolutely brilliant. He's got bags of technique, but he's very inconsistent. What's your take on the whole Benrahma situation?
It's a tricky one. I mean, I actually do feel for him a little bit. I feel like he never really gets a good run, and then when he does, even when he's playing well, it seems to come to an abrupt end for him. He never really seems to keep his position, no matter how well he plays. But yeah, he's so frustrating at times, isn't he? It's almost like he over tries. He's over, And when we look back at the Anderlecht game, he was so wasteful. I mean, he really did miss a few big chances, and it is frustrating, and you can see the frustration from Moyes as well. And there's the fact he does give the ball away quite a fair bit as well. Yeah, I'm still really on the fence with Benrahma. I watch him sometimes and think we've got such a wonderful player in our hands, and then some days I watch and think I'm really not convinced. So I really am still on the fence of him. I don't know where he's going to be, where his future lies, whether he's got a real long-term future under Moyes. I'm still not sure. I think it's quite obvious though that Moyes just isn't convinced by him. And dare I say, performances like that, you kind of see why. Would you agree?
Yeah, no, totally, mate. I mean, we're sort of acting as if this guy's just sort of signed this season, but he's been around for what? This is like his third season in a West Ham shirt.
Yeah,
we really shouldn't be talking about this anymore. We should be talking about. It should be yes or no. But to be honest, I'm with you, mate. It really is such a hard one to decide because the start of the season, this man looked different. This man looked like he was going to take the Premier League by storm. One of the best wings in the Premier League. He was just playing out of his skin. I think still in the Premier League, despite his starts, he's got the second most. Like in the I don't know if did you follow the other 14?
The what? Sorry,
the other 14 on Twitter. Have you heard of that?
Oh yeah, I do. Yeah.
Yeah. So the other 14 basically just takes every single player outside of the top six and sort of just ranks them week by week. And across the whole of the Premier League, he's got the second most chances created per 90 minutes. Or per night, whatever it's called. So, he is creating chances, but he's just so inconsistent. And, like I say, he gives the ball away a lot. And I think when you've got someone like Paqueta as well, who does give the ball away a fair bit as well when he's trying to create things, I think it's quite detrimental to your side. He does seem like a luxury player, doesn't he, Benrahma?
Yeah, he is, and you're right. I think like the issue with him is the inconsistency. That's the problem. Like we see flashes of these moments when you think, wow, and he puts in some great performances. I mean, as you say, early in the season, he looked different, he looked hungry, he looked fitter. And I generally thought that he was going to force himself into the team and keep the spot. But there's obviously a reason. There's something Moyes doesn't like about him. We've known that for quite a while. I think there's always been that suspicion that over the signing of him, that Moyes really didn't want him. That ultimately he was pushed onto him by Golden Sullivan. I think that from my understanding is that Moyes always wanted Eze from Palace. That was his number one choice, and that's the one he really wanted.
I think he was a Salthouse, wasn't he? A Salthouse agent, and that was obviously would have played a big part in the transfer.
Absolutely, and I think that was exactly now on the head. I think that was the reason why we ended up with Benrahma. So I think it's always been quite obvious that Moyes never really fancied him. And the fact is, like, what's so frustrating is that Moyes gives him the chance. Like again, he gives him a chance in the Europa League. Go and prove it, and he just doesn't. Like he was quite poor, I thought. Actually, don't get me wrong. He wanted the ball. He was up for it. He worked hard, but he's just so disappointing sometimes. He really does frustrate you, and you think, Christ's sake, like this is your chance to prove to the manager that you should be starting, and really you're not. You know what I mean? I mean, from that performance, can you really see Moyes then saying, "Well, yeah, you're going to be starting on Sunday in against Fulham"?
No, that's the thing, isn't it? I mean, that cutback by Bowen, and then it falls straight to Benrahma. I mean, he's got to be scoring that, hasn't he? If that falls to Antonio or Scamacca and they miss that, they get absolutely slated. They get absolutely slated. If Souček misses that, absolutely slated. But the thing is, all of us know, Benrahma's ability on his given day. Can you remember a player separating the fan base? I genuinely think it is 50-50 on this fan base as the players who, and it's no in between. You either get people who absolutely rate Benrahma and think, we've got to keep him. You've got a player on our hands here. And people are literally sitting there thinking, what the Christ are you lot seeing? This guy is literally terrible. I can't wait to get out.
I mean, exactly that. Like, you're right. I mean, I've got a friend of mine who messages me about West Ham, and he literally just has never liked Benrahma and says, like, end of the day, he said, yeah, he's obviously gifted. He said, but he's so wasteful. I don't know why we keep playing him. He's just got no interest in him. And you're right. Then you get other fans that are just like, well, he's one of the best players we've got on the team. He should be playing every week. It is frustrating. I do feel for him as well. I really do feel for the bloke because I feel like he's never really been favoured since he's joined, and he's always, even when he's played well, he then doesn't get selected in the game after and things like that. And you do kind of query it and think, well, what can he do? Right. But the frustrating aspect for me is that he gets that opportunity then to go and play, 90 minutes in the Europa League, and he's just in the Conference League, and it's just a poor performance, really. I think as well, you can see it in him. It's like he's over trying. He's trying too hard. He's thinking too much about it. He's desperate to do well. And really, I'm sure you play football yourself. When you're trying too hard, you're overthinking it. You just don't do it very, very well. You need to sort of be natural and just relax and play your natural game. Yeah, it's frustrating. I do wonder what his future is at West Ham and whether there is one there. I get the feeling that he'll be sold in the summer. Now we're starting to build. We're going to bring more players into the club, and we're building. And think I get the impression that he will be on his way. That's my gut feeling. But I'd love him to prove it. So I'd love him to prove, become a pivotal player for Moyes. But I get the feeling if Moyes can offload him, he will.
Yeah, I mean, I think there was something going around West Ham Twitter the other day about, if you could offer Benrahma plus something or other for Cody Gakpo, would you take it? I don't know where that rumour sort of come from, but I think, 3 seasons in, he had a very good return last season. I just think, is there someone better suited to Moyes? Not necessarily. I mean, he goes back to Brentford, he balls out, mate. I know that for a fact. He goes anywhere in the Premier League, I think he's going to be, the main attraction, the main man. He's going to have a bit more freedom. I don't know. I think it's so difficult because I really do rate the guy. But would I play would you play Cornet ahead of Benrahma? I probably would. Would you play Fornals over Benrahma? I wouldn't personally.
Okay.
Would you play Bowen over Benrahma? Yeah, I would. So, and I'd probably even play Paqueta on the wing ahead of Benrahma and Antonio for that matter. So, you're going quite far down the pecking order when you start thinking about that sort of numbers, and you just sort of think, how much can we really get for Benrahma at the moment? Probably
that's the argument, isn't it? Because I'm trying to think, the fee we bought him for, it wasn't cheap, was it? It was around about the 30 million mark.
I think if I remember, it was like 22 point something because it was a loan, wasn't it, originally, and then they made it a permanent.
That's right. It was. Yeah, you're correct. It was a loan, and then with an option to buy.
I remember it being around a figure of like 22.5 million. I might be wrong. I might be just pulling that out of my arse, but I mean, you look at Nikola Vlasic as well.
It was 30 million. The whole 25 plus 5, and it was 30 million pound we paid for him. So he wasn't cheap. And the argument is he worth 30 million pound now? Possibly not. Maybe I think we're probably going to have to take a hit on him. I wouldn't say it'd be too much off of that. Probably 25, 20 million probably would get for him. But yeah, it's a tricky one. And I just kind of feel that if he's not Moyes' player, we should never have bought him, really. I wish, this is the end of the day, we need to be trusting the manager. He always wanted Eze. We know that. I mean, that's the other argument. Is there an option, do you think, to go back for him? At the end of this season, see where Palace are. If they ever struggle this season and in a relegation battle, which they possibly look like they could be dragged into that, he might be looking around and thinking, well, especially if West Ham get into Europe again, let's say we get a top 6 finish, what's to say we can't go to them and say, look, we'll have Eze, you can have Benrahma, and plus 10 million or something. Do you know what I mean? And we'll get him. So you never know. That could be an option for West Ham.
I think the Eze is different gravy for this matter. I think if you're a Palace fan, you're a Palace. Anyone associated with Palace would turn their nose up at that deal if they have any sort of sense about them. That's not even about Benrahma as well. That's just the caliber of player.
As well. Then I'll throw in Soufal the deal. How about that? Would that sweeten it?
Maybe chuck Souček in as well while you're at it. I mean, we're going the opposite direction at this moment, mate. They're getting less likely to take the deal as you keep adding the players. Like obviously,
I'll bring back Roberto and I'll throw him in.
Offering the scraps of West Ham to Palace. They're just going to sit there and just laugh at us, mate. No, I mean, Eze's an interesting one. I think, years ago, if we'd have bought Eze instead of Benrahma, we'd have a very different team in our hands. I mean, the guy is just different. He honestly is different gravy. It's very a shame that he did get an injury at the start of his Palace career. Otherwise, we would be looking at one of the brightest young talents in the Premier League. I really do believe that.
Yeah, but he's already
Benrahma's
he
never lived
seems
up
to
to
be
that.
recovering well from that now, though, doesn't he? As you can see already, he's starting to get back to where he was. So I agree. You can see why Moyes wanted him over Benrahma.
But the thing for me is you look at Vlasic, and he was given what maybe like, I mean, he wasn't really given a chance, was he, to impress? And when we sort of seem to have offloaded him, it's, there must be something about it to where Benrahma hasn't actually been sold. Whether he literally just saved himself at the start of this season by playing really well, and now the window's over, and sort of, we might be selling him. But you think he's had 3 seasons. Moyes has never been convinced by him. There's a lot of the fan base who haven't been convinced by him. I'm surprised he hasn't exactly left yet. But I mean, look, just to finish off the video as a straight up question, do you think Benrahma should stay at the club, or would you be happy to move him on and try and find someone else?
It depends who we can bring in, but yeah, I would be open to it. I think, and the only reason I say that's nothing to get him, because I actually think he's a decent player. I do think he does offer something different. I know he can be frustrating at times, but I do think if you look at his stats, they're actually very good, like you say. But if we can get someone else in that's an improvement, then yes. And I actually want it for him in a way, because I think he deserves to be playing where he can play at a club regularly, week in, week out. He doesn't want to keep being picked and dropped and picked. It can't be good for him. Like, it must be strange, when he's playing well, especially, and then find himself struggling to get in the team. So I can't imagine he's overly happy at West Ham. That's my gut feeling. I don't know it for sure, but I'm sure his dreams of being at West Ham wasn't this, of being occasionally playing and then not. Because let's be honest, he's not going to be starting anytime soon in the Premier League, I think, unless they've got injuries. I just don't think he will be.
Yeah, and I mean, he's probably like 27 odd years old now, and I think if he was able to get a move to somewhere like Palace or back to Brentford, I honestly think you'd see the real Benrahma. I think he's one of those players where you need to start him every game of the season and then just see what he does. But obviously, and it's a good problem to have, but with our squad depth, we can't offer him that position. And I think did he play left wing or right wing for Brentford? I can't exactly remember.
I think it was more left. I think he played.
I think it was more left wing, but we've seen him in the 10 position. We've seen him on the left wing. We've seen him on the right wing. He's never really found his position.
No, that's the issue, isn't it?
I really do like him, but I think he's a brilliant player.
He's a luxury player, isn't he? He's someone that it's nice to have around, to have that option occasionally, and because he does create, and he is dangerous on the ball. And when he's at it, he really is he's brilliant. Like, he's a brilliant player, but the problem is he's just not consistent. That's the issue.
If you could take 4 hours,
sorry. If
you could take 4 hours and Benrahma and mould them into the same player, I think you'd have some player on your hands there. If you bring the defensive backtracking of 4 hours and his mentality, and you have the flair of Benrahma, I think honestly you've got an absolute player in your hands. But he doesn't really fit our It doesn't really fit our system. I think if you put him in a different system in the Premier League, he absolutely balls out. And like I said, I think just for me, I think he deserves it. He deserves to go somewhere else where he actually feels valued. He's not going to start for us. Cornet, I think, should be our main starter now at the left wing spot. He just fits our system a lot more. So yeah, for me, begrudgingly, I would say to sort of move him on. But I really do like him. I really think we've got a player there, and I definitely won't be annoyed if he does end up staying.
No, agreed. I think I'm happy to give him more of a chance at the club, but yeah, I just get the feeling that his days are numbered. I think that if there's an option to come in next summer, even possibly January, I doubt it in January. I doubt he'll want to do things in the middle of the season, but I'm guessing next summer we might see him go. If as we said, if we can bring someone in to replace him, but yeah, which is a shame if that does happen. But as you say, if it doesn't, then I'm happy to keep him. But he really needs to start improving on his consistency. Definitely.
Yeah, he really does.
Thanks for watching, everyone. Cheers.